Hey everyone, long time no see. I haven't been live in this group for a bit, but I had a question that I received in the Learning Center and I need your help. So Cassie had a great question, and although I definitely can give her some advice and I'll be talking about some of that here too, I would really be curious to know what you would say to her also, because I know a lot of you have been in this situation. So if you have, please share what was said, how it was handled, what you did. So here is the question. Cassie says, I am not sure how to handle the feeling of being misled into using essential oils on my children prior to finding out that they were unsafe. Have I done any irreparable harm by using them before I knew better? So this is a really great question. So if you have any advice, throw them in the comments so that she can read your advice as well. So two parts. One is handling the feeling of being misled to using them on your children, where now you are finding out that that's probably not safe. And then number two, did you do harm to your children that's going to last a very long time? So first of all, I would say, now that you know better and that there's a better way and a safer way to use essential oils, that is really the first step, is acknowledging that, being aware of that, and then choosing to do better. Most times, whatever you have done previously with your children when it comes to essential oils is not going to impact your children for the rest of their lives. So it's okay. I know there's a lot of information that I share in the Learning Center and other places about using essential oils safely. We talk about it here in the group, of course, a lot as well. And some of you, I realize, start feeling a little bit stressed. You are concerned, you're worried you did harm to your children that's going to last the rest of their lives, and it's not going to. So let's talk about what some of those adverse reactions are going to look like. So if you have diffused essential oils around your children that now you are learning are not safe for use around your children, then the first thing you need to do is stop doing it. But rest assured that most adverse reactions are going to appear right away. So if you are diffusing peppermint on children under the age of 6, if you are diffusing eucalyptus or rosemary or other 1,8-cineol heavy essential oils, then you, under the age of 10, then you don't want to be really careful of that. But if that happens, you are going to notice right away if their breathing is labored, if their respiration has slowed down. They may be gasping for breath. They may be saying that it's hard to breathe. They may be clutching their throat or their chest, and it's going to feel very uncomfortable for them. So what you can do is give them access to fresh air. So, take the inhaler away, stop diffusing, whatever that you've done to expose them to those essential oils, and make sure that they get some fresh air. So that's something you can do if you've exposed your children to essential oils via inhalation. And there are other adverse reactions that can happen. There are other essential oils that aren't going to be safe for children also, but that's just a more common example of essential oils that people are using that aren't safe for kids. So peppermint, eucalyptus, rosemary, and those are often found, especially eucalyptus, in the Breathe blends. So I know it doesn't make sense, right? Like, why would a company add these types of essential oils to blends that are supposed to help with breathing that actually can have the opposite effect? And it doesn't affect every child, but it can affect a lot of them. And when it comes to breathing, we really don't want to mess with that. At least I don't, right? So choose other safer essential oils that aren't going to have that adverse reaction. So for those of you jumping on now or watching the replay, the question is, Cassie is saying she's not sure how to handle the feeling of being misled into using essential oils with her children, now finding out that they aren't safe, and if she's done any long-term damage, basically, is her question. So if you have any questions or comments for her, if you have any support that you want to put out here in the comments, then please do, so that she can see those and it can help her to feel better about how she has chosen to use essential oils up until now. Another thing I want to point out is, when you know better, do better. Yes, of course. But we are often first exposed to essential oils from friends and family, right? The MLMs, they're great for spreading the word about essential oils. So our first exposure is generally going to be from a friend or family member selling essential oils, having a party, and that is how we are learning about essential oils. So unfortunately, a lot of companies, and not just MLMs, but they don't have safe information. A lot of companies that sell essential oils are really just interested in selling essential oils, and very few of them are actually more concerned about their customers' safety. Unfortunately, there's no liability when it comes to essential oils. Like, we don't have to hold the companies liable. Like, they're off the hook as far as the FDA is concerned, as long as they don't use specific wording about curing diseases and everything. But they can sell any essential oils. There's no regulation. The FDA is only concerned about labeling. So if a company chooses to sell essential oils for the purpose of ingesting, they need to make sure that that is clear on the label. Other than that, it doesn't matter. Pennyroyal is still sold, nutmeg is still sold, wintergreen is still sold, and a lot of essential oils that have adverse reactions for children or during pregnancy or whatnot, they are still on the market. So the chances of you being exposed to an essential oil that may not be safe for you or safe for your child is rather high, especially when it comes to pre-made blends. So there are popular anti-germ blends out there. Let's just call them anti-germ, but you know what I'm talking about. Every company has their own version of this anti-germ essential oil blend that typically contains rosemary, eucalyptus, cinnamon, clove, lemon, orange, and that is not safe for a lot of people. That can potentially give adverse reactions to a lot of people. Not safe during pregnancy, not safe for children under the age of 10, not safe if you are even taking a baby aspirin, not safe if you are about to have surgery or just did. Has topical max issues as well. So if you are using that topically, like in a hand sanitizer, it could present redness or irritation or even phototoxicity, depending on what version of lemon that they are actually using. So there's a lot to know. And when we are first exposed to essential oils, we don't know better. We can buy them right off the shelf in Walmart. We can buy them in Best Buy. They're everywhere, right? So we have to be super careful, but we just don't know. Like, we don't know that we need to know first before we use them. So like Cassie is saying, like, she just found out that essential oils are not safe for her children. Some essential oils aren't safe for her children. And she is trying to figure out how to process the whole, what she's calling being misled. And it's usually not intentional. I mean, I really think the marketing departments have, are partial to blame for this, and they have responsibility. The companies have responsibility. But typically the people that are face-to-face, your friends and family selling you these essential oils, they literally don't know. Like, they're not trying to hurt you. They're not trying to cause harm to your children. They literally just aren't properly trained, which is why it's really important that this group stays around, which is why I'm super careful in the wording that I use, and why I have a lot of things tucked behind the free learning center so that I can keep the Facebook robots out, which are very, very picky, and then still allow those of you who want to learn about using essential oils safely inside, which is why it's free. So that would be one, going back to, have I done any long-term harm to my children? So if you've exposed them to the inhalation of essential oils that aren't safe for children, then that will dissipate. So any sort of adverse reactions that they had at the time are not going to be a long-term thing. Now, topical use is it really depends. So Typically, you are going to potentially see irritation, you are going to see redness, phototoxicity can happen if you are using essential oils without diluting them first and applying them to the skin. So you may have come into a situation where you are applying them on your children and there's some redness, there may be some irritation or itching, like a rash look. If you have put lemon essential oil straight on your child and they've gone out to play, or maybe even lime or bergamot, they may have come in with a burn, and that is from the phototoxic reaction. So that kind of thing, again, you will see it, but the only question mark, the only thing that can end up being long-term is frequent applications of undiluted essential oils long-term. So if you have started slathering or even adding a few drops of essential oil on your baby's skin from day one, and they are a few months old, few weeks old, few years old, and you could put them in a situation where they are now going to be sensitized, which is your body's immune system response to overdoing something. So this can happen as adults. Some adults, they end up having fibromyalgia, which is an immune system response also to chemicals, to artificial fragrances. Like we know this kind of thing happens with our children, and using essential oils, which are highly concentrated. A similar thing can happen with frequent long-term use of the topical application of essential oils, to the point where even inhalation can trigger an adverse reaction. Typically, most of the people that find me, most of the people that come to this group have not been using essential oils that way for a length of time. Now, granted, you can react on the first application of undiluted essential oils. It can happen the first time, the 10th time. It may not happen till the 100th time. So you really have to, once you realize that you have to use essential oils safely, it's a great idea to just stop using essential oils, just back up, take a breath, and start educating yourself. So that would be my suggestion. If anybody else has any comments that they want to throw in for Cassie, she says that she is not sure how to handle being misled about essential oils being safe to use on her children. She specifically says on her children prior to finding out that they were unsafe. So there are essential oils that are safe to use with children. There's actually a lot of them. It's not difficult to avoid the ones that aren't safe. You absolutely can safely use essential oils with your children. A lot of times that's not going to mean topical use. A lot of times that's going to mean inhalation. So when you are dealing with sleep issues or focus issues / attention issues, if you are dealing with trying to help your child calm down, all of those sort of situations are more emotional type that affect the limbic area of the brain, and that's going to be most effectively helped with the inhalation of essential oils. So I see all the time people are slathering essential oils on their kids' feet, hoping that it will help with germs and sleep and all of these things. And that is the farthest point from a child's body. So you definitely want to make sure that they are inhaling. So the more that you can expose your children to the inhalation versus topical when appropriate, the better. The least amount of topical adverse reactions, right? Because you aren't using them topically. So just a few tips. As I know, a lot more people will watch the replay than are here live with me. Facebook does not like to share a lot when I do go live because they do not like some of the things that I say. So I do try to avoid using medical terms and such. So if you are seeing this, say hello. And if you have any words of encouragement or advice for Cassie, please let her know how you handled it. How did you handle the feeling that you were misled, that you were lied to, that you could use essential oils on your children completely, totally safe, that there's no adverse reactions, that essential oils are natural, you don't have to worry about it? And how did you get over that? Like, how did you struggle and power through that? And what are you doing now? And secondarily, she's asking if she's done any long-term damage to her child from using essential oils unsafely thus far. And the majority of the time, no. The majority of the time, people aren't using essential oils unsafely that long. to trigger any sort of adverse reactions that they aren't otherwise going to notice right away. So you will see visual signs on your child's skin. It's not detox, it is an adverse reaction if you see any redness or irritation or all of that. So I hope this helps, Cassie. I hope people in the group will chime in with their advice for you as well, because I know a lot of them have gone through it too. And I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.